Good morning, good evening, and good day. You're listening to Drama Buds, an anima podcast. So hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of Drama Buds. I gotta warn you, this is a pure rant episode. Everything good I said about Dr. Romantic 3 in my first impressions episode, take it back. Everything I said about, I'm still excited to see where they go with the story. I'm not happy with the past 2 weeks since I released that episode. This is partly about, episode 11 onwards, the clownery of episodes 11 and 12, and then just the character assassination, the character butchering that's going on in episodes 13 and 14. It's just about that. I don't even care about whatever fan wars are going on with the season 1 enjoyers and the season 2 defenders, or those that, didn't even watch season 2 and only came back for Kang Dongju. I don't care. I don't care. I only care about how this writing has consistently been doing my favorite character dirty and how it's opening her up to attacks that, would be applicable to every other Dr. Romantic lead. And I would only bring out the in defense of episode if I'm really mad about something. Once again, everything I said about Dr. Romantic 3 in my first impressions episode, I take it back. Episodes 11 onwards feels like a completely different show and makes the first 10 episodes worthless. And it was supposed to prove that, giving the show the benefit of the doubt was worth it. But the past 4 episodes did not. And since it's been so long since I felt the need to do an in defense of episode, there's just one big chunk of me ranting. Not as edited or, heavily outlined as my usual episodes. I'm just very mad. So let's start with episodes 11 and 12, which felt like a joke. I mean, the moment I saw the CCTV footage with, the paper bag over someone's head, putting a pen on Cha Jin-man's desk and that's interpreted as a threat or something, the moment the CCTV footage pulled up, I dropped. I had to pause it. I had to take a walk to calm myself down because what the hell is that? What kind of joke is this? And everything before that, because I think that came at around, maybe the 20-minute mark or something. Everything before that felt, like filler. I mean, yeah, it's like it went back to episodes, 2 to 4, where there was just so much filler that maybe I care less about these characters than I initially thought. Because I don't care. I want you to do something. I want something to happen. And then, the Cha Jin-man backstory, whatever, with Lee Sung-kyung avenging his dead colleague who died because, Cha Jin-man berated him. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't remember. I don't know the plot of episodes 11 and 12. I don't even know the backstory. I don't know why anything happened. I tuned out completely because I was just so mad at how the quality of the writing just nosedived out of nowhere. I don't know about their filming schedule, but to me, this feels like not live shooting, but this was probably around the time that the show was airing or about to air, because this does not seem cohesive at all with anything else that happened in the past 10 episodes. And essentially, the point of episodes 11 and 12 was to write Cha Jin-man out of the story, which I don't know why it feels like these 2 episodes were kind of put together, in a span of a few days just to find a way to write Cha Jin-man out, because it completely nullifies his character's relevance in the past 10 episodes. It makes him even more pointless than I initially was already thinking. I mean, if, the theme of the entire season is to question the humanism and Kim Sabu's, principles and how other people can't keep up with him, and it's spreading the doctors too thin, and it's putting them at risk of losing patients, of overworking themselves and getting in trouble. I mean, everything, all the cases kind of contribute to that. So as I said, Cha Jin-man was not necessary to put those events in place or to make them happen. And he didn't even affect any real change in the trauma center or in the way Doldam works. So he feels like a filler arc. Like there's no point to him if Kang Dong-ju was just going to come in and actually do something with the trauma center, which I genuinely don't mind. And then there's the borderline, like, weekend family drama plot lines with Eun-jae's mom disapproving of Ujin, and then Arum and Untak, they don't communicate at all. Honestly, I have to admit this. I skip all their scenes. I don't care. I only mildly cared about them because they were cute. But now that they're not cute, I'm not invested enough to waste my time watching their scenes if they're just gonna go through some typical miscommunication or lack of communication breakup. I don't care about them enough for that. And Cha Eun-jae, my beloved, barely has her own story this season. You know, she's just Cha Jin-man's daughter. She's just Ujin's girlfriend. And she's genuinely such a neglected character. She's not her family's favorite child. She's not Kim Sabu's favorite student. And she's definitely not the writer's favorite character. But you know what? Cha Eun-jae, you're my favorite. And that's why her lack of her own story arc throughout this season, only to end up in the, character assassination in episodes 13 and 14, that's why it angers me even more. I feel like I should explain why Cha Eun-jae is my favorite, okay? And I don't know if that's surprising because, I feel like So Jin should be my favorite because I love Anyo Sop and then this is where I discovered him. Or even if I didn't finish season 1, I should love Yoon So-jung. That's also where I discovered So Yoon-jin. I didn't even know her. I watched this show because I heard it got a season 2 and because Yoon Suk was here and I was still high off, cosplay. But it was So Yoon-jin who just became one of my ultimate faves after the show. But no, I don't remember much about her character and I'd love for her to come back. It would be great to see her, just see So Yoon-jin, period. But in terms of favorite characters, it's Cha Eun-jae. And you know why? It's because she's the only lead who feels like a human, like a real person and not a K-drama character. You get what I mean? You see how she's different from Yoon So-jung, Kang Dong-ju, So Woo-jin. Because everyone else, their ego or their recklessness, it's due to some trauma, okay? Kang Dong-ju, from what I remember of season 1, I remember his dad died even if he got to the ER first because he didn't know at the time that someone else needed care more urgently. And I don't remember if he knew that it was Boo Yong-ju who made that call or the big bad. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So yeah, he has some traumatic backstory. And then Yoon So-jung, I remember in episode 1, she was in a car accident with a boyfriend who died. And that's how she, got PTSD and couldn't operate or something. I swear that's partially correct. And then So Woo-jin, my God, this one I can list down very clearly. His parents tried to commit family suicide, but he survived. He inherited their debt. He joined his Sonbe's new hospital to make more money and then, discovered that Sonbe was doing ghost doctors or whatever illegal practices that he reported to the authorities, and then people called him a whistleblower and ostracized him, and then he got thrown out to Doldam, and then he had to, prove himself to Kim Sabu. And it's just a pinball machine of misery, okay? So Woo-jin is a character. And in comparison, Cha Eun-jae, she's from a rich family of doctors who supported her studies and gave her everything she needed. So what are her problems? What? She faints in the OR because of performance anxiety? Because, she feels so pressured by her family and their legacy or whatever? Is that even a real problem compared to what the others have gone through? I swear, I'm pretty sure that discourse is out there in the world. And yet, I find her so much more compelling than any other character in their tragic backstory because she's a person. She's not an over-dramatic character, which doesn't really fit in with the over-dramatic nature of Dr. Romantic. And yet, you know what? If you make me choose between someone who's dealt with real traumatic incidents versus someone who just, is a little bit neurotic, has self-esteem issues, has problems with their relationships, their family and their friends and themselves, I will choose that character over someone who's gone through K-drama trauma. And Eun-jae is also the lead with the least ego. I feel like that's why she's so much more sidelined compared to the other leads because she doesn't push herself to the forefront of the plot as much as the others do. By being arrogant, by being reckless, by constantly fighting Kim Sabu or putting themselves in danger. But she's not like a stickler to rules kind of character. No, it's just like she's anxious. She's a neurotic girly, okay? And she's cautious and she thinks before she does things. And that has kept her grounded for most of the show. It's why I love her. I feel like she actually thinks. She's not as brilliant as the others, but once again, she's more human than them. And I love her for that. Now, going into season 3, of course, we can't have the exact same character arc. Yeah, we can't rehash the performance anxiety, family pressure stuff. It's been 3 years in the show's timeline. She's definitely more confident in herself, and she can even be a mentor to Sonung, the new CS resident. And so the challenge with this season was, okay, this is the first time we've had the same leads as before. What are their character arcs now? Going to Ujin, like, okay, he's done with his death, with his sunbe, with, his past and everything. So now his arc is, he's trying to be little Kim Sabu, but he only has, like, the spirit, not the skills yet. So what about Eun-jae? What's Eun-jae's character arc? Nothing. Eun-jae has no character arc this season. As I said earlier, she only exists as Cha Jin-man's daughter or as So Jin's girlfriend. And then when her dad leaves and is replaced by Kang Dong-ju, he's given permission by Kim Sabu to do whatever he wants with the trauma center. And he tells them, like, okay, let's be super strict with the criteria for trauma patients. Only these people should be admitted. And the rest, we redirect them to Doldam's ER. Because, a trauma center isn't just an extension of the emergency room. It deals with more extreme cases. And they need the space and the personnel to be ready whenever that happens. So if that means they're going to be stuck there doing nothing for 3 days because there are no trauma patients that fit the criteria, then so be it, because something big could happen at any moment. And I will admit, I'm a Kang Dong-ju and a Yoo Eun-suk hater. You have to know this about me. Okay, you have to know this because you would know that I would jump on any opportunity to hate on this character. But even I can be objective enough and say, yeah, I agree with him. I agree with what he's saying. And then after like 3 days of having no patients at all, there's this CS patient in Doldam who's at high risk but, isn't considered a trauma case. And then Kim Sabu is the only other CS in Doldam. And he's busy with another operation. And so Eun-jae decides to risk leaving her post, leaving the trauma center to operate and deal with that first. Which would be perfectly fine if nothing happened at the time that she was gone, like it had for the past, 3 days. But of course something does, because this is Dr. Romantic, of course. And she's not there to deal with a CS patient. And the other frustrating thing is that Sonung, who was calling her at the time, said that, yeah, Kim Sabu's in an operation right now. And they just assumed that it would take longer. But actually, Kim Sabu was almost done. So if they had just waited a bit, Kim Sabu could jump into that operation if they had just asked him. But of course, the plot dictates that they don't ask Kim Sabu. They don't tell him about it and they make their own decisions. So of course, it's so easy to blame everything on Cha Eun-jae. And at this point, honestly, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that plot. She just miscalculated the risk, of something happening when the past 3 days have told her that nothing would happen. Okay, yeah, I get it. And after she finished the operation in Doldam and went to the trauma center, she got scolded by Kang Dong-ju for disobeying his orders and for trying to be Kim Sabu, running back and forth from one operation to another. Okay, he makes a great point. Everyone admires Kim Sabu and how he does everything he possibly can and is successful in that. And yeah, you can emulate that, you can try, but you have to know your capabilities and your limits. Because not everyone can be a superhero like Kim Sabu. And it's also in line with Kim Sabu's story for the entire season. Like he's sick and he won't be, at the top of his game for much longer. And so he wants Doldam and the trauma center. He wants them to be able to stand on their own without him. And all of the mishaps throughout the season, it's showing him how people keep following his principles, but they're spread so thin, they're understaffed, they're overworked, and they're losing patience, they're putting themselves in too much danger because they admire him so much, but they can't do what he does. So it's in character and in line with all of that for Eun-jae to, have miscalculated that risk and fail and apologize for her mistake. Totally fair. Episode 13, I get it. It makes for great discussion. But what doesn't feel in character is Cha Eun-jae instigating a boycott by the staff and the doctors of the trauma center to get back at Kang Dong-ju for running the trauma center like that and not properly communicating his intentions to the staff or whatever. You're telling me a doctor would start a boycott of a trauma center where people who are at high risk could pop up at any moment and everyone just goes along with it. You're telling me that that would actually happen and that's something Cha Eun-jae would do? One, she's not petty enough to try to get back at Kang Dong-ju like that. And she's not reckless and thoughtless that she would risk the lives of potential patients by leaving the trauma center, empty like that. And of course, while this boycott is happening, there are people from like the provincial budget office who are deciding if the trauma center is worth financing. And someone from the Ministry of Health who's on the side of the big bad this season. And they're there to observe. And of course, they're going to see that this trauma center that's eating up money has no people in it and no patients either. And then some emergency will happen. And no one's there to deal with it. So of course, everything can be blamed on Cha Eun-jae again. And it's even more infuriating this time. Because, okay, one, she is rarely reckless. Like seriously, Cha Eun-jae is the least gung-ho of all the leads. And at most, she only does crazy things to save more lives, not to do anything that hinders it. Okay? Number two, she has this scene with Kim Sabu where he's saying like, essentially he's like kind of downplaying everything that's happening and saying like, don't do things that aren't like you. See, even Kim Sabu knows that this isn't like her. And just go back to work. Something like that, okay? And then she, she kind of like pouts and gets mad at him. Like, nagtampo siya. I don't know how to say it. Basta nagtatampo siya. And she was saying, something like, oh, so you're really playing favorites with Kang Dong-ju, huh? Which is so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous, actually. And three, which is just a suspension of disbelief pet peeve of mine now. You're telling me absolutely no one from that staff of doctors and nurses who, have an oath to save lives or whatever or not do anything to harm the lives of their patients. You're telling me absolutely no one from the staff thought this boycott was a bad idea and, someone needs to be in the trauma center? No one? Everyone really was united in this? Like there's a union here? Okay, there's a working union? Really? I doubt. Usually I would cut writers some slack, because there has to be drama in a drama. Why are you complaining about conflict? There needs to be conflict. Okay, and with a show like this, which is generally overdramatic, we're here because Dr. Romantic is overdramatic and it's fun, right? So I should just let this slide. But I will not let it slide when it's out of character for a lead who I love and who has done nothing this season. Nothing good nor anything bad. And yet, she's only pushed to the forefront now, 13, 14 episodes in, only to be blamed for everything. Which is so out of her character. I mean, I wouldn't say I can write her character better than the writers. But in this case, maybe I could. Maybe I could at this point. And usually, I can cut characters some slack, when it's a situation that they react to out of stress, out of trauma, out of strong, overwhelming emotions, or a situation that's so difficult to handle. But it's not like that. There was no emergency where she had to make a snap decision to do this. You're telling me Cha Eun-jae, fully calm and in her right mind, made the decision to boycott. You're telling me that's in character, in line with everything that she is and everything she's done? I don't think so. And you know what? I cannot make any more excuses for bad writing that doesn't know what to do with all the characters that they added into the story and that they couldn't give proper arcs to. Like at this point, it's a miracle that everyone came back and they're just grateful for that miracle, but they didn't really think this season through. So that's it for me today. I'm so sorry for putting you through that. I don't even know how long I've been talking. Uh, because I've just been so mad for the past weekend that I've been watching the show. I can't believe they ruined my beautiful, beautiful Dr. Romantic 2 like this. After this show, after this season is done, I'm gonna pretend it never happened. You can't even throw, So Eun-jae and Yang Sejong or even Kim Ye-soo to me. You can't even throw them at me and expect me to be happy with it. I don't care at this point. I will simply ignore that this season happened. Just like I did with Hospital Playlist Season 2. You know what? I'm starting to think, what was more disappointing? What's worse? It's still Hosplay 2 because, I feel like, Dr. Romantic 3, there's still theme to it. Kim Sabu, he's still intact. He's still the god of this drama, the god of Doldam. And yeah, I like the arc and the themes they're exploring. It's just really the sins against Cha Eun-jae that I cannot accept. I can't do it. I didn't even get into the, Woojin Eun-jae. You made me not care about them. How dare you, writers? How dare you do that to me? But yeah, everything good about Season 2, which to me is still a 9.5 out of 10. Okay? So close to being a 10 out of 10. I think it's in my top 7 or 8 dramas of all time. Dr. Romantic 2 always remains superior no matter what. Perfectly plotted and paced. The characters they introduced were all complex. There was a plan. There was a plan in place. And you know what? Actually, I remember having a bad feeling about this season because I remember that this writer also wrote Kyung Song Creature, whatever, the one with Han So-hee and Park So-joon, before this. So I was thinking, so from Dr. Romantic 2, she jumped straight into that and you're expecting another 16-episode season of Dr. Romantic 3 that's gonna be as good as Season 2, when I'm sure many cast members are not sure if they're willing to appear in a Season 3. And so, yeah, I should have trusted that gut feeling ages ago when I thought, she's gonna be spread too thin to write Season 3 as well as she did Season 2. Well, that's it for me today. That's it for the bad vibes I'm spreading today. But yeah, just so you know, I'm an Eun-jae defender, not because I defend her actions necessarily, but because I know her. I know who Cha Eun-jae is, and this isn't you, Cha Eun-jae. You're always gonna be my bestie. You'll always be precious and loved in my home. And yeah, I just will ignore this season. So, yeah, that's it for me today. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you soon.
Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to leave a comment, like, subscribe, follow, and tell me what you thought about today's episode. See you soon!